Welcome, dear Aries. If you're hearing this right now, maybe somewhere in your life, you've been sensing something unusual, a heavy kind of energy around you, as if someone's eyes were following you, filled not with affection but with quiet anger you can't quite explain. You've done nothing wrong. Sometimes just being who you truly are is enough to make others uncomfortable. Your light is too clear, too strong, and that very brilliance threatens those whose souls haven't yet healed. But maybe, instead of fear, this is the moment to listen, because beneath that anger lies a deeper story, one that isn't only about them, but also about your own strength. So take a slow breath with me, feel, understand, and begin to see what's really happening when your light unknowingly awakens the darkness within another soul. Aries. There are mornings when you wake up and the air around you feels different. Everything looks the same, the sun still rises, work still waits, the road still leads to familiar places, and yet deep inside your heart something feels unsettled. A gaze, a feeling, as if someone is watching you with a heavy energy that you can't quite name. It's not admiration, not love, but something mixed, resentment and envy. That's when you begin to realize, somewhere out there, a man still carries anger toward you. He might have once been close, someone who smiled at the sound of your name, who shared a part of your journey. But now, what remains are fractured emotions, anger pressed down beneath silence, pain disguised as distance. He doesn't see you as you are. He sees you through the reflection of his own unhealed wounds. Aries, you are the symbol of fire, born to begin, to move forward, to bring light where others hesitate. Your energy burns bright, honest, direct. And that brilliance can make others feel small beside it. Some souls simply can't stand in that light. They don't see you through truth. They see you through the distorted mirror of their own insecurity. When you smile, they feel like failures. When you rise, they feel left behind. When you succeed, they hear the echo of dreams they never dared to chase. So instead of admiration, they choose anger. Instead of learning to shine, they hide in the dark. But remember, that anger isn't truly about you. It's the cry of a soul wrestling with itself. And you, with your compassionate heart, may have tried to understand. You lowered your voice, you softened your strength, you made yourself smaller just to keep the peace. But Aries, light was never meant to hide. Light never apologizes for being radiant. Every time you shrink yourself, you betray the sacred fire the universe placed within you. That resentment doesn't always show itself openly. It hides in casual remarks that make you doubt yourself, in the way someone looks away when you're praised, in strange coincidences that seem to twist your words or turn others against you. You ask yourself, what did I do wrong? The truth is, you did nothing wrong. You're simply living as you are, strong, honest, and true. On a deeper level, this isn't just a story about two people. It's a story about light and shadow within every soul. That man is a mirror, reflecting the part of darkness that Aries must learn to face. Because for the flame to mature, it must learn to burn without destroying, to warm without scorching. And that only happens when you understand. Light never fights darkness. It simply continues to shine. Look again, not with the eyes of logic, but with compassion. If someone holds anger toward you, what they truly resent is the part of themselves that hasn't learned how to love. When you see that, anger melts into understanding, and understanding becomes wisdom. Aries, the fire within you was never born for war, it was born to guide. And sometimes that light will accidentally touch the wounds of another, causing pain they don't yet understand. But your mission isn't to heal their pain. It's to keep your flame pure, warm, honest, and free of judgment. From that quiet place inside, breathe in peace, and breathe out gratitude. Thank yourself for keeping your light alive in a world full of shadows. Thank yourself for choosing love over reaction. And thank yourself for walking a path that not everyone has the courage to take. Something is beginning to unfold now, a deeper layer of this story, where your light is not just the cause of his anger, but the mirror that reveals his soul. So stay with me. Let's go deeper, to understand why that very light, the flame that makes you who you are, awakens such powerful storms within another man's heart. Deep within every soul, there exists an invisible mirror. It doesn't reflect our face. It reflects the parts of us we're not ready to face: fear, pain, and the anger that never found its name. When you walk into someone's life with your freedom, your truth, and your light, that mirror begins to tremble. It reflects too clearly, too honestly, until the other person can no longer hide in their own darkness. That man sees in you what he once wished he could be: the courage to live authentically, the strength to stay grounded when misunderstood, the grace to rise after every wound without needing rescue. But instead of learning from you, he chooses denial. He cannot bear the smallness he feels in the presence of someone who fears nothing. Your light exposes his shadow, and instead of healing, he resents the very source of illumination. This anger didn't begin with conflict. It began with comparison, a cruel comparison between who he is and who he never had the courage to become. It isn't hatred of you, it's disguised self-hatred. An unhealed soul will always see another's light as a reminder of the darkness within themselves. You may not have said a word or done a thing, just your presence makes him feel exposed. Because you don't need to pretend to be loved. You don't need to flatter to be seen. You walk into a space with straightforward light, while he strains to exist in his own shadow, and that simple truth is what makes him lose control. Maybe you've asked yourself, why does he hate me so much? But if you pause long enough and listen with your heart, you'll see that the answer doesn't lie in your mistakes, it lives in his fear. People only get angry at the light when they haven't learned to face their own darkness. In this life, there are those who cannot stand the presence of strong souls. They mistake strength for arrogance, not realizing it's born from countless moments of falling and rising again. They don't see the tears behind your confident smile, or the wounds you've healed with love instead of bitterness. They only see you shining, and call it luck, unaware that your light was forged through the very darkness they fear to touch. The real lesson here isn't about that man, it's about how people respond to light. When someone grows angry because you shine, it's proof that your light has reached a place they aren't ready to open. And in that moment, instead of feeling hurt, be grateful. You've unknowingly become a mirror for their awakening. The world will always need souls brave enough to keep shining, even when their light makes others uncomfortable. Because light was never born to be liked, it was born to guide. And you, the one who carries the flame of courage, are doing exactly that, whether you realize it or not. Don't explain. Don't try to make them understand. Understanding cannot come from a closed heart. Keep your energy pure. Let your kindness and calm speak for you, because sometimes silence itself is the loudest voice of the light. One day, he'll realize that the anger he's been holding was never meant for you. It was always for the forgotten parts of himself. And when that day comes, the light you carried will become the seed of his awakening. The beauty is you won't have to do anything. Just keep being who you are in the middle of the night. While unhealed souls still wander for direction, your light will be seen again. But sometimes, that same light becomes the flame that stirs the winds of resentment. Something begins to move quietly, invisibly, like smoke searching for a fire to cling to. Sometimes, another person's anger doesn't need words to be felt. It moves quietly through the air, hidden in a glance, a pause, a silence that lasts a little too long. You don't hear anything, yet you know something heavy is circling you. A dark, slow energy, not a fire that burns, but a smoke that seeps into the mind, searching for a way to slip into your heart. And then, you start to feel tired. Everything seems normal, but your mind is exhausted. You lose focus. Sleep feels heavier. The things that once brought you joy no longer shine. Sometimes your heart races for no reason, as if it's warning you of something invisible. You don't know why. You just feel a quiet unease that you can't name. That is the sign of an energetic attack. Not a curse, not superstition, but the real reaction of the soul under hostile vibration. When someone holds deep anger toward you, they send out waves of low frequency, invisible currents that disturb your peace. Your soul, sensitive like a petal in the wind, can sense that disruption instantly. But don't be afraid. This isn't here to harm you. It's here to awaken you. When your body, your mind, and your energy all speak at once, it means you're being called to see what you've been avoiding. It's an invitation to grow wiser about the unseen world we all live in. Awareness is your first shield. When you recognize that negative energy is real, you stop ignoring the signals your body and spirit send you. You begin to see you're not weak. You're simply tuned in more deeply than most. And within that sensitivity lies a gift. the gift to listen, to empathize, to see what others cannot. Many people live their whole lives without realizing that energy has weight. When your heart holds resentment, your words turn sharp. When you live in fear, your voice trembles. And when you live in love, everything around you softens. So if someone can drain you through their anger, you can also heal your world through love and awareness. Take a moment now. Pause. Inhale slowly. Imagine a field of light before you, warm, gentle, like morning mist flowing around you. That light isn't coming from outside. It's radiating from within, from the deepest part of your heart that was once hurt, but still chose love. The anger of others cannot reach that place, because it's sacred, a space that only you can enter. And here's the miracle: when you stand still in your own light, hostility dissolves. Just as darkness cannot exist when the lamp is lit. You don't have to fight. You don't have to resist. You simply awaken your awareness. Every time you see clearly, every time you understand, the negative energy loses its power. Then you'll come to a gentle truth. That man, with his simmering anger, cannot truly harm you. He's only harming himself, trapped in his own desperate attempt to extinguish a flame he doesn't understand. Now that you can see the shadows moving around you, don't hate them. Look at them as part of your greater journey, the path that teaches you how to hold light without fearing the dark. That is the art of a mature soul, to face what is negative yet remain peaceful within. And from that awareness, a new door begins to open, a door where your light not only guides, but protects. Because once you understand the darkness, you are ready for the next lesson, the lesson of keeping your sacred fire alive. Through every storm that life may bring, some days, your heart feels like a house without doors. Every gust of wind finds its way in, soft breezes brush gently through, but the stronger winds can sweep away your peace entirely. After being hurt enough times, you begin to realize not everyone deserves to be invited into the sacred space of your energy. Because not everyone comes with good intentions. Some bring light, others bring shadow, and they leave marks you can't see with your eyes. Guarding your energy is the lesson of a soul that has matured. It isn't coldness, it's a form of love, loving yourself deeply enough not to let anyone dim your light. Imagine yourself sitting in stillness, eyes closed, listening to the rhythm of your own heartbeat. From that center, a stream of red light, the color of Aries fire, begins to flow outward, warm and strong. Then comes a soft white light, pure as dawn mist, wrapping around you in peace. The two lights merge, the breath of heaven and earth intertwined, forming a column of light around you, your sanctuary in the vastness. This isn't imagination, it's your soul remembering its original energy. Each time you practice this, you strengthen the invisible shield that protects you from jealousy, judgment, and hostility. You don't need to fight or react. You only need to stand quietly in your own light. But there are subtler boundaries too, the boundaries of trust. How many times have you shared something personal, only to realize later that the listener wanted to know but not to understand? How many times have you given too much, only to find your kindness used as a tool to hurt you? Remember, compassion is not a door that must always stay open. It's a lamp, lighting the way only for those truly seeking light. When you fail to draw a line, compassion becomes a double-edged sword. You think you're saving someone, but in truth, you're allowing them to drain your life force. Love without wisdom will exhaust you, but love with awareness, that is true salvation. In a world that moves too fast for reflection, protecting your own energy is an act of courage. It's how you tell the universe, I honor the life within me. I choose peace over chaos. I choose light over reaction. Each time you do, you send a message into the world that kindness does not mean weakness, and gentleness does not mean allowing harm. Take one evening. Turn off the noise, sit quietly, listen to your breath. Each inhale is a cool breeze through the soul. Each exhale is a heavy layer of dust leaving you. Little by little, you'll feel your energy clear again, no longer stained by envy, no longer clouded by fear. When the heart is pure, the world around you becomes sharper, more vivid, more real. And then, you'll see keeping your inner peace is the greatest victory of the wise. The outer world may roar, but the inner world can stay calm. When you learn to return to yourself, you realize no one can truly hurt you unless you hand them the power to do so. If you've ever felt drained by someone's energy, tell your story. because maybe your words will help another soul learn how to protect their own light. Sometimes, one honest story is all it takes to guide someone out of the dark. And when you've learned to protect yourself with light, with boundaries, with compassionate wisdom, you'll start to see everything more clearly. Even the face of that man, the one you once only sensed through shadow, will slowly appear under this new light, not for judgment, but for understanding. He was never truly frightening, only lost, a wandering soul reflecting the parts of you that you have already outgrown. One day, you'll realize that this man's anger is no longer a mystery. It has a face, a voice, even familiar gestures. He might have been the one who once held your hand through difficult years, or the colleague you trusted completely, or maybe just someone you once called a soulmate. But now, when you look back, you see it clearly. Every word he said, every act of care carried a hidden tone, a quiet mix of admiration and resentment. At first, he made you believe it was protection, kindness, genuine concern. He praised your strength and then reminded you to stay humble. He encouraged you to move forward but planted fear of losing what you had. He cared, but only to control. He couldn't stand seeing you shine without needing his approval. And caught between envy and affection, he began rewriting the story, one where you became arrogant, ungrateful, hard to love. The truth is, he never hated you. He just couldn't handle the feeling that you were becoming something he could never be. Your confidence reminded him of his own weakness. Your independence made him feel unnecessary. Your light shone into the corners of his soul he had spent years trying to hide. And when a person cannot face their own darkness, they will always blame the light. Maybe you were confused. You asked yourself, why did someone who once loved me turn so cold? Why did someone who used to laugh with me start speaking words that hurt? But hidden beneath those questions was a quiet truth. Some people only love you until your light grows too bright for their comfort zone. Their love was never truly love. It was possession dressed as affection. When you stayed within reach, they felt secure. But the moment you expanded beyond their grasp, they felt threatened. And so, sweetness turned into bitterness. They tried to shrink you to regain a sense of power. They whispered that you had changed, that you weren't the same. But they didn't see you didn't change to betray them. You changed to become more of yourself. Through the cold stares and cutting words, you learned something sacred. No one can take away your light unless you put it out yourself. You began to understand that betrayal isn't always an ending. Sometimes it's a message telling you it's time to stop giving your energy to souls who aren't ready to receive it. That man, with all his anger and fear, is only a chapter in your story of becoming. He didn't come to destroy you. He came to mirror your strength back to you, to teach you the power of self-respect and boundaries. He showed you that love without freedom is a prison, and kindness without wisdom is a blade that cuts your own heart. So instead of resentment, smile at this lesson. Be grateful, because through him you've seen yourself more clearly, your limits, your pride, your independence, your worth. When the mask finally falls, you don't just see his face. You see the part of yourself that no longer fears. That part stands taller, shines brighter, and moves more peacefully through life. And in that peace, you realize you don't need revenge or validation or to prove anything to anyone. Some battles aren't meant to be won. They're meant to be released, because letting go isn't weakness, it's the act of a soul strong enough to choose peace. And maybe that's where the real lesson begins, learning to rise, not to strike back, but to walk forward, with a heart cleansed of anger and a spirit free to begin again. There will come a time in your life when revenge will no longer feel necessary, because hurting another soul has never healed the wound inside you. When your heart has walked through the fire of anger and survived it, you begin to understand that silence is not weakness. It is a quiet form of power, born only when the soul learns how to rise without making noise. In the days when you were misunderstood, blamed, or betrayed by those you trusted, your human instinct was to defend yourself, to explain, to be heard, to prove you were right. But the more you tried to explain, the more energy you lost, because truth does not need protection through words. Truth stands tall on its own, even when the whole world turns away. Aries, you were not born to argue. You were born to live fully, fiercely, and freely in your true fire. When someone hurts you, they cannot take away your worth. They can only make you forget for a moment that you were born to fly. And when you remember, you realize you are like the phoenix, reborn from your own ashes, not with screams of rage, but with the serene whisper of a soul that has seen through everything. Your peace, your joy, and your success will be your greatest answers to the world, not through showing off, but by living so beautifully that no word can pierce the wall of light you've built. Every step you take forward, every time you choose love over resentment, the darkness around you fades away. Imagine one morning, you open your eyes and see the sun rising, and for the first time it doesn't carry the pain of yesterday. You don't need to win over anyone. You don't need them to look back. You just breathe and know you didn't let someone else's anger define who you are. Then you'll see the real victory was never about defeating anyone. It was about keeping your heart whole. The true warrior is not the one who fights every battle. The true warrior is the one who chooses peace, because peace is the highest mountain a soul can climb. And you, Aries, are that soul, powerful yet compassionate, fiery yet gentle, steadfast yet never cold. You've walked through betrayal, judgment, and misunderstanding, but instead of letting it harden you, you allowed it to polish your heart, to make it brighter, softer, and deeper. Because only when a heart has cracked can the light truly enter. And when that light flows through your wounds, you become a healer not just for yourself, but even for those who once caused you pain. And then, in one quiet moment, you realize you're no longer angry. The rage dissolves like morning mist, leaving behind peace. You no longer need an apology. You no longer need them to understand. You no longer need them to change, because forgiveness was never about them. It was about freeing yourself from the invisible chain that once bound your spirit. From that moment on, you'll feel a rare kind of freedom, one that doesn't come from outside but from deep within. Your breath becomes calmer, your steps lighter, and everything you do carries the vibration of someone who has walked through fire and still chose love. That's why, when you move forward in peace, darkness can no longer follow you. It cannot exist where light lives, and now, Aries, you are that light. So pause here for a breath, slow, steady, gentle. Look back at everything you've survived, and you'll see it clearly. That storm never came to destroy you. It came to teach you how to be reborn. And now, as your flame softens and your phoenix wings unfold, you are finally ready to receive the deepest truth this entire journey has been leading you toward. When you've walked through darkness, when your heart has learned to stay silent in the face of pain, something within you begins to change. It's no longer the flame that burns in defiance, but a gentler, deeper, warmer light, the kind that can only be born after the soul has survived many long nights. In that quiet moment, you finally understand. Nothing that ever happened was random. That man, with his anger, with his resentment, didn't appear to destroy you. He was sent by the universe as part of its intricate design, a strict teacher meant to reveal your true strength. Because without those cold eyes, you wouldn't have learned how to keep yourself warm. Without those cutting words, you wouldn't have learned how to speak gently to your own heart. And without the shadow of another, you would have never realized how brightly your inner light could shine. Everything you've endured has led you here, to this sacred understanding. You never need to shrink to make anyone comfortable, because the light you carry doesn't belong only to you. It's the current of the universe flowing through you, using your very life as a lantern for others still searching in the dark. When you understand that, you no longer fear being misunderstood. You no longer fear envy. You simply keep shining, just as the sun continues to shine, even when someone chooses to close their eyes. Aries, you were born as the symbol of courage. Not the courage to fight the world, but the courage to live truthfully with your soul, to dare to love after being hurt, to walk again after falling, and to stand tall in your own light, even when others would rather see you bow your head. This world needs souls like yours, unafraid to shine, because your light is not vanity, it is awakening. When you rise, when you choose love over resentment, peace over revenge, you send an invisible message into the world. I was hurt, but I did not become the hurt. If you are hearing these words now, place your hand over your heart. Feel that beat, that rhythm of divine light still flowing through you, stronger than ever before. And when you whisper to the universe, I protect my flame, I do not shrink, I rise, you are making a sacred vow, the vow of an awakened soul who knows that no one can dim their light unless they give permission. From this moment on, walk your path with the confidence of one who knows their worth. Remember, every step you take is a footprint of light, and when that light is fueled by compassion and understanding, it will lead you to miracles, to a place where anger no longer exists and only peace remains. Thank you, beloved Aries, for allowing your light to meet mine today. May peace forever guard your fire, and may every path you walk be guided by truth.